overall thoughts on the game?
Pleased with a lot of it. The fact that we've come through the game. There's a couple of wee knocks, Cammy Devlin with his calf and Thello with his shoulder, but both will be fine for the weekend. So the fact that we've come through the game without any injuries is pleasing. We deliberately went with two different shapes, first half and second. That was always the intention. The second half was just to try and get a shape that would allow us to get the boys the minutes. And I thought in both shapes we were decent in the game. I thought we looked solid enough, which was an improvement from the other night, to be honest. And I thought the intensity of the game was far better. I thought we looked sharper, well work, particularly in the first half. I thought we turned the ball over well. I thought we looked after the ball well, and we got ourselves into some good areas. But our lack of quality at times let us down. We're finding cross. The decision to take a shot on or not wasn't quite as clean as I would have hoped. And it's these sort of things that we need to really kind of work on in the last wee part. Whether it's obviously we're trying to address bringing a couple of key positions into the club, and the sooner we can get those in, the better, I think, because obviously we've still got a long way the window to go, but we want to be as strong as we can from the get-go from this league and also in Europe. So, but I do think in the main, I thought the balance of the midfield three was good in the first half. I thought Nadiri competed against two Premier League centre-backs and held his own. And I thought we looked pretty solid through. So there's some positives to take for it, but the last part of the game when there's loads of changes and the game gets a bit bitty, sometimes you can lose that wee bit of momentum. But I reminded the players as well that last 10 minutes of the game, I still wanted us to play forward a wee bit quicker and try and win the game. I know it's pre-season, but don't really like 0-0s at home, and we've got to make sure that we still try and win the game. So disappointing to that wee aspect of it, but I think in the main the players have worked extremely hard. They've been with us now for 4 weeks, and the majority have done every session. They're all kind of in a good place physically, which helps us kind of into the games on Friday when Dundee United have competitive games. But some positives, but only still work to do to be the team that we want to be.
Are you still hopeful of 1 or 2 in for Friday? Does it depend on how the next week goes?
Yeah, well, we've got Banya done obviously, and we're just waiting his visa. We're quite hopeful we've got one done at the minute, and hopefully some news in that next 48 hours. And we're also hopefully trying to maybe bring one more in if we can for Friday night. I would really like that to be the case, because I do think in 1 or 2 areas of the pitch we're still a bit short, and ideally that's the areas we want to target.
Derek, obviously you've got numerous options in the centre pitch. With Nico still to come back, does he have a part to play for the opening game of the season? Could we see him?
Not for the opening part of the season, he won't, but going forward, unless obviously Nico might be subject to some interest, and we're well aware of that. We've always thought he could be a flight risk this summer in the back of the World Cup. So we've reinforced the midfield area, but obviously if nothing comes in for Nico, then it's another good player to add to it. And we are the one area of the pitch we are really strong is through the middle of the park just now. No, Nico will be back this week, but he won't come into contention for the game on Friday. He's not going to do enough training ahead of that. And I think after as many games played, his World Cup exploits, we never planned for Nico to be back for Dundee United. But we've got good options in there, and certainly the team were quite strong.
With regards to the ones that you hope to get done before Friday, would they be ready and available to play Friday night, or would that be too soon?
Yeah, well, they're obviously training at other clubs and doing a bit. They might not be up to exactly where we are, but the intention would be to try and bring them in as soon as possible, and we can make an assessment on that. But I do think that 1 or 2 of them could come in the squad, if we get them.
Derek, you said with deals, Del, or would they be loans?
One's a permanent, one might be a loan. Ideally 2 would be a permanent.
Derek obviously gave Dujon the armband today. You sort of shared the route with captaincy in pre-season. Can you just sort of talk us through your thinking?
There's a leadership group in the training ground every day, so we've got senior players there, and obviously a lot of people get obsessed with who's the captain, and I understand that. But I do, as I said to you, I do think I'm fortunate that I've got a few that I can consider. Sometimes you can be in a dressing room and you look around and going, Christ, who's got to tell me? But I don't feel that here. I feel as though there's a number that could do it. But obviously somebody's got to take the lads down the tunnel and somebody's going to have that responsibility. And I feel as though I've made my mind up about that. But just wanted to see how everybody was with the armband, really, and just have a look from afar and just see how they are. But I see more of that kind of qualities day in, day out. I'm looking for that a wee bit more day in, day out, and I think we've had that in the last few weeks.
Have you got in your mind's eye who's going to be the captain for Friday night?
Yeah. I'll still talk it through with the staff because it's not been at the forefront of my thoughts, to be honest. I understand the question, and it is a big thing, particularly at this club. So, but it hasn't been at the forefront of any discussions. But obviously, we'll make a decision on that this week.
Yeah, there's been a lot of other players like coming in, but in terms of players going out the way, are you close to MD and they move players on? Or?
I think there's been a wee bit of interest in one or two without naming names. But Andrew and the board have been really strong in the sense that, try and do what we need to do and be really aggressive in the transfer market. It's no easy getting players in. We can do all the work and we've got a brilliant recruitment team who do their work well, but getting deals done and over the line is difficult. But equally, it's not a case of we can't do what needs to be done because we need to get players out. Of course, come the end of the window, we'd like to try and see a better number in the squad, a more balanced squad, and we don't want to be overloaded either. So well aware of the responsibilities to try and kind of trim the squad a wee bit, but the recruitment team are working hard on that side. They don't just recruit to bring in. They've obviously had discussions with a lot of players who it might be worth their while looking for regular football elsewhere, and we've had some conversations with that. So these things I think will just happen naturally. I think as the games go on, the competitive games go on, players are left out and stuff, that's becomes a bit clearer that maybe one or two need to move on.
Last one, Steve. Derek, you said that you were hopeful of a couple of players going in. I'm not going to ask you to tell me who they are because I know you won't, but are they forward players, and do you have any concern over the, I'm not going to say lack of quality, but just how the team looks in the final third? As somebody watching, maybe it feels like there could be that spark maybe just missing. Is that with you thinking in it, or do you need players in? What do you think?
Yeah, well, I think we're a bit short defensively in terms of numbers. I think we had 5 senior players, defenders there available, and Ross McCrory's just opened up his knee a wee bit, so we didn't take any risks with him today. So we're a bit short defensively in terms of, because we've got probably going to have 4 games in 12 days coming up, 2 league games and 2 cup games in the Europe. So we'd look to address the numbers there, but also you're right to say it's just those difference makers. I think a club like ours needs to have those guys that can isolate and go 1v1 and can play off both sides and just naturally. So we are looking for a wee bit more creativity that we think can serve the strikers. I think we've got strikers in Nadiri and Chimiti and Shankland and Dombrowski who can all finish off chances. Maybe only Chimiti is capable of creating an opportunity for himself in terms of his feet and all the rest of it, but Ryan, Lawrence and Boyan are very much dependent on service, and we need to provide a bit more service.